This video is going to be about digital technologies and the effect that it has had on music production. And on my next video, I would like to talk about how this has affected the music industry as a whole. Well, back in the days of yore, every major city had a couple music studios, and inside of these music studios, we had Rupert Neve compressors, limiters, saturators. You would need tube guitar heads, you would need your guitars and your cabs. And if you're going to be recording that a big drum set, you're going to need dozens of microphones, and some of these microphones would cost upwards of $10,000 each. And of course, you're going to need a nice set of monitors. Why not get yourself a pair of barefoot monitors made right here in Portland? And of course, the centerpiece of every major music studio would be a fat SSL board that could set you back upwards of $400,000. Well, in order to get those radio-friendly tunes that y'all love, major labels would front bands thousands of dollars, oftentimes with predatory loans, so that they can go and record in these music studios with engineers, producers, and audio technicians. Well, back in the 70s, we began with digital signal processors with our synthesizers, and along came analog to digital, digital to analog converters, or ADDA converters, and this was in the early 80s. And people often began to produce on their computers using analog recording, and therefore needed analog to digital converters to create pulse code modulation, or PCM, which is basically your wave signal represented in ones and zeros. You needed this to get your music onto compact discs and to digital music files. Well, then came along the DAW, the Digital Audio Workstation, as I like to call it, a DAW. Most major music studios went all digital in the early 90s with the creation of DigiDesign's Pro Tools software. A digital audio workstation is an electronic device or application software used for recording, editing, and producing audio files. DAWs come in a wide variety of configurations, from a single software program on a laptop to an integrated standalone unit, to highly complex configurations with numerous components controlled by a central computer. There are tons of DAWs out there available. There's Pro Tools, there's Cubase, there's Acid, there's Reason, there's Bitwig, there's Logic, GarageBand, FL Studio, and the one that I prefer to use is Ableton. They all basically do the same thing, they just have different graphic user interface built around preference. Once people started to make music on computers, Cubase came up with, in 1996, Virtual Studio Technology, or a VST. A VST is an analog plug-in software interface that integrates software synthesizers and effects into your digital audio workstation. VST and similar technologies use digital signal processing to simulate traditional recording studio hardware and software. There are thousands of VSTs out there. There's synthesizers, limiters, saturators, reverb, delays, amp modulators, anything that you can think of, vocoders, and they range in price from free to like your Waves Diamond bundle for $10,000. And in 2018, deadmau5's producer Steve Duda came up with a beautiful idea of rent-to-own plugins, rent-to-own VSTs. So if you were worried about that $300 plugin that you probably shouldn't be buying, well, now you can pay $10 a month for the next 30 months, and then you eventually own it. So you know what that means? It means they're taking all of my money. Well, also, I wanted to talk a bit about sampling. Sampling became popular in the early 80s with hip-hop music. Digital samplers became popular in the early 90s, and sampling it went along the same path as our music did. If you wanted samples, you either had to create your own, or you had to go to a music store, buy an actual physical CD. But now, they have paid subscription services where you can pay a beginning rate of about $8 a month for 100 samples per month through companies like Splice.com or Sounds.com.
Hey, what's up guys, this is Diplo here. Today I wanted to show you how I made my sounds for my Sounds.com pack.
Also, when you needed to finish your music, every studio had to send the tracks through their mastering suite. Mastering is when you send down the final bounce down copy of your track to be put on to CD or Spotify. But guess what they have now? Digital subscription services where you can pay about $50 a month, where your music will be mastered through digital algorithms. And there's companies like Lander, BandLab, or eMastered, or CloudBounce. So what does that mean? That means seriously, they're taking all of my money. Also, it means now that you can have everything you need to create an album from front to back for under $5,000 in your bedroom. Why would you pay engineers and producers when you can do it all of yourself with just a little bit of training for a fraction of the price? So next up, I would like to talk about how this has affected the music industry as a whole.